I want to also share with you the years of psychological damage this has done and the years of abuse. This is going to take maybe the rest of our lives if we have a chance to survive what we've been through. Um, I I had night terror after night terror after night terror since I was 19 years old. I collapsed several times. I collapsed at Chi-Chi's. Everyone that saw me at Chi-Chi's, I collapsed. I was a rape victim, a pedo rape victim. No one would know at Chi-Chi's. No one would know that I was a pedo victim. I talked to kids that I went to school with at Seneca Valley, and no one would know that I was a psychological rape. They were psychologically raping us. They were raping us repeatedly. They were raping us of our rights after rights. And let me share with you guys about eminent domain, about what was going on the whole time when we moved to Observatory Hill. And they were doing this not just to individuals like myself. Eminent domain is obviously, since when does a mechanic just take their vehicle and just say he owns it? I have that's bought and paid for. That's not his stuff. That's another poor excuse for being a poor mechanic. My dad was a mechanic. I've never heard of anyone taking somebody's vehicle without having something on a report, including my insurance company, and that insurance company was not notified of any damages to his flatbed. I've dealt with tow truck drivers all my life. Never ever had a problem like that before, ever. I want my keys back. That's my rights. I have a bill of rights. I serve my country. Give me my keys. I'm also a U.S. Army veteran, and I work for the U.S. Army JAG. They can start giving back all the family and everything that they own, everything, and they can repay it by sending a nice big fat check and putting it in the mailbox. You have an opportunity to do something right here. Every one of you who had a hands in our pocket, write a check out and make sure it's at put it in my mail slot. Start paying. Because there's psychological damage, and all of you who are responsible for psychologically traumatizing my family can start writing out the checks right now. There's pain and suffering. This is a personal injury case. There's rape injuries. There's sexual assault injuries that have not even gone through. They're going to write the check out right now for all the psychological damage and all the damages, because there's a lot of damages. We're just getting warmed up here. Welcome to the warm-up phase, sir. Not to mention all the other messages that we were receiving about the boxes and some things that happened on the Amtrak station, including what happened at the Greyhound station, and all the other invisible, shady deals. And what happened is we were going to court, and we were going to court, and you wouldn't help us, and the women's shelters wouldn't help us and left us on the street. There's going to be a lot to be said. They can start writing the checks for all the damages, including all the false accusations and false reports. Start writing out the checks for all the personal injuries. Sit down. Another thing is that specifically discussing juvenile cases, we're discussing what happened after we aged out of foster care. And we can't discuss the foster care case until we talk to our attorneys. I'm just addressing generally what's going on here. And what happened was most of us who were foster care have been approached, have been asked to do things, including there were individuals who were involved in some other trafficking cases involved in Venango County, I apologize. And there was also some sexual assault cases. And you can go ahead and forward that over to the State Attorney General's office as well. You can also forward all the other foster children casework issues that were going on during this time of 1985 to 1989, up until after we aged out of foster care, because it was appropriate then to go ahead and make your move on me. Some people wiggled in on me. There's several other incidents that have not been reported. They have to have a police report, and they also are required by law. If they're in foster care, they're required by law as a foster care and as in foster parent and caseworkers. They have to show that they reported the abuse, and also the nasty comments and the nasty dirty looks and the rude conversations that most of those people would not admit to. They would not admit to what they were doing over the phone. We overheard the comments. I overheard this. I do not have much respect for anyone that was doing this while I was listening on the other side. I was listening on the other line and how people were talking about me and how you make comments. Of course you don't love me. Of course you don't. You used me. That's why. Someone shared with me today, I met a woman who is a domestic violence victim and survivor as well, and she shared with me how karma's a bitch, and I honestly believe that all these missing persons issues, and I always believed in my heart of hearts that the truth will eventually come out. And I started to notice some things that were obviously dreams that were very vivid. And what happened with the chair, and what happened with the sexual assaults that occurred up also in Bridgewater, and all the rape cases. While we can't get to all the issues that happened, and we did contact the police department, we cannot handle the amount of assaults that went on during this period. And I'll be honest with you, if they can't process the paperwork properly, or they can't tell the truth, you can tell by the little, little things that stick out in the police reports. I can tell that somebody was, fudging the information. I can tell by reading reports. The thing is that there's criminals that think they can outsmart people, and they use the process to re-victimize victims. And the whole point that what I was sharing with my sister a couple years ago is how they re-traumatize victims. They use these cases and they purposely fracture victims this way. That way they're easy to manipulate. See, if you get victims when they're upset, what I've learned about this process, as they have abused us, they know exactly what buttons to push. They also know exactly what to say to who they know what to say to. Thankfully, I talked to a commander who also was raped at a military base and talks about military sexual trauma, because it's probably more or less an Operation Paperclip kind of like agenda driven with eugenics and all that stuff, because it's obvious. Like, you don't have to make this stuff up. I mean, the whole issue on abortion itself is a eugenics program. This is what we have gotten to the point. We've come to the realization that the world is full of wickedness and evil, and you have to look for the good in a lot of it. And years of sexual abuse, years of trauma, years of abuse. This is how easily manipulated vulnerable victims. And if you're not aware of it, you need to be aware of it. You need to pay attention, because for obvious reasons, for whatever sick agenda some of these individuals had with us, every one of them are going to be exposed for who they are. And wait till you see how they get exposed. They like to use us to flash. They like to use us. They like to use us and ask us to, and then grab my hair and force us around and push us around. Wait till you see how the turnaround is. And this is words I will take that. I want to share with you why it is so relevant to what's going on. Most of us could not afford a house. Most of us could not afford any of those things. So obvious, targeting troubled families with no money, no food, no clothes is the obvious reality. And what happened down the T last October down there, and I was passing out the whole time while I was being shoved around and pushed around and forced, almost in a forced situation again and again and again, only to end up with no vehicle, no nothing. I did not come up here empty-handed, and I plan on getting my car, my vehicle, and the belongings back. I did not come up here to be abused. In fact, I had lived outside of Pennsylvania because I was assaulted so many times. And all the other individuals who need to help me. I passed out at Chi-Chi's in 1991 because I was being abused every day at home. Basically, that's why I could not attend National Guard duty. Basically, I was being assaulted every day at CCAC. I could not attend National Guard duty. I could not attend any of my meetings and U.S. Army requirements because I was being assaulted every day. I was being threatened and violated every day. I could not attend my AT. I could not attend AIT because I was being abused every day. I would like to know if somebody's going to help me. I was being punched, spit on, made fun of. I was being grabbed. I was choked several times. I was stalked by my ex. I was stalked, abused. I was also stalked recently. I was left out in the highway. I did not have any warm place to go. They left me out in the street at the Voice Shelter and made me walk all the way down. And I got help from a detailed church to get a cab ride. I had been assaulted. I almost died out there. As a result of those injuries, I have some problems right now, and I am asking for your help. Thank you very much. Please help us. I'm one of many victims who have dealt with the women's shelter programs here, and it's the same issue over and over. These women's shelters have forced women into some really awkward situations. I'm not comfortable what some of these women have done to other women. I'm not comfortable with some of the conversations other women have had with other women. I'm very grateful that I met Randy today. Thank you, Randy. Lastly, I would like to thank those representatives, President Trump and his wife, for helping us. Thank you. Thank you for showing real leadership.